Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Larry Bodenheimer and today we're taking a look at Incubus. Incubus is a 32-bit worm which affects modern Windows operating systems. And yes, you heard that right, we have a worm affecting modern Windows operating systems, and if we are to take it by the first submission date on VirusTotal, it was released just yesterday. It does have a creation time of March 12th of 2007. However, the creation time is never right. And even if it was, there's no way that it would have gone 18 years without being uploaded. So this is very new malware. If we come take a look at it over in detections, we see it has 60 out of 73 detections because it really doesn't do anything to hide itself. Tags for this video are portable executable, check CPU name, detects debug environment, overlay, and spreader. Popular threat label is Trojan.Cosmo. However, even though that's the popular label, you can see in quite a few places that it is classified as worm, auto run, dropper, and then you've got generic signatures as well, malbehave, whatever that means. Let's take a look at the big names that aren't detecting this, because it would take way too long to look at all the ones that are. Baidu is big enough, I guess, to mention. Palo Alto Networks, and WebRoot. These are the only three that are not detecting it that are big, well-known names. However, even these three aren't really that big. If we go to details, you can see the MD5, SHA-1, and SHA-256 for the video. Creation time, of course, was March 12th of 2007, or at least that's what it's been classified as. However, you can see the first submission was yesterday, about a day and some change ago, and last submission was 12 minutes ago by yours truly. Names it's been uploaded under is Incubus, Incubus.exe, and then Black Basta, Hijack Loader, Luca Stealer, Radamanthus, and Smoke Loader. Okay, none of those are correct. I don't know why there's 5 malware names on one file, but okay. If we go to relations, we can see that it does contact 2 IP addresses. One is local and one is an IPv6. 20 bundled files, however, all of these show up as safe. 27 dropped files, however, only 2 of them have been scanned and they show up as good. Actually, 3 of them have been scanned. Actually, 6 of them have been scanned. Didn't it just say 27? I swear it said 27 and now it says 68. Or maybe my brain just shut down and it said 68 this whole time. Either way, the only 2 that show up with anything are acrobatinfo.exe, which has 2 detections, and 7zg.exe, which has 1 detection. And may very well be 7zip. Again, I don't spend much time on behavior on this channel, but if you don't want to follow along on your own and you want to see it for yourself, now's your chance to look. We do have 1 detection from Zenbox, Malware Spreader, and Evader, and we have 1 high, 4 medium, and 3 low crowdsourced Sigma rules, while not having any crowdsourced IDS rules. And that's because, of course, this is not an info stealing rat or a info stealer. It is a worm with virus capabilities as well. If we go to community, last but not least for VirusTotal, Nike Analytics, Jaffa Cakes 118, and Petic have been here. None of them have a popular threat label for it, but I do just want to show that they've been here before. Now we can go ahead and minimize that and take a look at the file for ourselves. So we'll go to Properties. And as you can see, it shows description Windows Update Manager for NT. And if we go to Details, it looks realistic until you get to the end. So if we keep going, we've got Windows Update Manager for NT, application, file version looks realistic enough. However, product name, Microsoft Windows, this is almost accurate. However, it would actually have like the registered like symbol. It wouldn't just have a capital R. Product version looks okay. Copyright C, again, this would actually be the copyright symbol. Microsoft Corp, 1981 to 1999. Size 7.92 megabytes. And the language is Chinese, specifically Mandarin Chinese. Oh, actually, no, it's in Cantonese. My fault. Simplified Chinese is Cantonese. And the original file name is incubus.exe. So the fact that it has all of this written out in English, and apparently the malware was written in Cantonese, do with that as you will. But either way, that's the properties for the file, and then the tools we'll be using to analyze this are System Informer, Process Monitor, and Task Manager. Now you may be wondering why we're using Task Manager, but I will get to that later. Right now, it's not really that important. So now that we've shown all that, the last thing to do is to run the malware. Do you want to allow this app from an unknown publisher to make changes to your device? Of course we do. So we click yes, and if we look over here, we see it immediately pops up command.exe and a bunch of console hosts with a bunch of sc.exes, and then we're left with incubus.exe, command console host, and then update auto, command and console host. I'm assuming this is supposed to be update auto, but as you can see from the properties anyway, this is actually, well, we can't do properties there. We're going to have to go to open file location. It's in syswell64. And if we look over here at properties, we can tell it's the exact same thing. Probably should have been a little bit better with the spelling, but it is what it is. Now, we're not going to look at Task Manager yet, but as what we are going to do next, my brain is shutting down, I don't know why I'm stuttering so much. We're going to apply two filters, not that one. We're going to do operation is create file, and then we're going to do process name is incubus.exe. Now we click add and apply. We take a look, there's been 30,000 events. Now, obviously, we're not going to look at every single one of these. However, in the beginning, it's loading a bunch of DLLs that come prepackaged with Windows. We've seen all of these before. And then it calls command.exe. You can also see that we have option.bat. So if we jump to option.bat, we can see that there is a new batch file in sysfile64. Now, if we want to edit this, we've got echo off set date to 2000 0210. So it looks like for some reason it's setting the date to February 10th. However, as you can see, that actually is not working. We can see that it's still 420, blaze it. But if we go, just to take it one step further, if we go to adjust date and time, we can see that it's actually made no effort to change the time. So we'll go ahead and close this. We can minimize that for now. We may come back to it later. But we will go through, and we've got ntldr6 in the C directory, and as you can see, we've got incubus4.exe in the desktop. However, these have actually been deleted. If we try to jump to it, we can see it's not here. If it's not there, it will just take you straight to the SPC folder. There you go. Now, if we scroll through here, we can see that sc.exe has been used a bajillion times, and we can see that it's actually still in sysfile64. Now, this is one of those instances where the program is not malicious on its own, but it is being used for malicious purposes. And you can see the backup partition marker directory has been accessed, which is always a good sign. And as you can see, it starts off by querying everything in the recycling bin. And just to show that we do have programs in the recycling bin, these are files and folders that have been deleted since the last malware was run, and this one. Now, if we go back to process monitor, we will go through here, and then we start to see other things. Win reagent, dump stack, which we actually saw earlier, and then it's querying everything in program files. So again, this is another case of where it's easily able to detect VMware. However, it doesn't actually have any mitigation for it. Another case of VirusTotal saying that it detects your debug environment, and absolutely does not. We see it's also queried Wireshark, although Wireshark's not open. And now it is querying 7-zip, and you may already know what's going on. However, we're going to go a little bit further, and as you can see, the computer is really starting to slow down. So the CPU usage and the physical memory are a lot higher than it was before. It's now querying all of our VMware drivers. Now if we take a look at Task Manager, you can see that there are actually two instances of this running. In Task Manager, it is noted as Windows Update Manager for NT, 32-bit, and that is actually the name that's assigned to it. However, it is incubus.exe and updateauto.exe. If we do open file location from here, it's the exact same thing. However, one thing that you may also note that's going on, these are using an absurd amount of memory for each program that's running, but another thing, which is much more vile, is it is using as much disk processing speed as humanly possible. You may have noted a little earlier that it was using around 780 megabits per second. This one was using 600. So we're going to try to analyze this malware before my disk flies around my room like a tornado. But we'll keep going, and if you haven't noted what's going on yet, it is basically replacing every program, every executable, every batch file that it could possibly find without just outright wrecking the computer with a copy of itself. So we've also got plug scheduler and Bruxum. I'm not entirely sure what that is. But if we try to jump to it, it is actually here. I don't know what this is. I didn't actually see this in testing. I mean, if I just try to move this over here, is it a legitimate program? But as you can see, the computer is much slower now. It's not actually going to let me upload it. Okay, I'm assuming I don't have copy permissions. Fair enough. It's not really all that important, though, because it doesn't have much to do with the main payload of the program. And there's no point in putting in update auto or any other names it's going to be under, because since it's the exact same malware, it's going to do the exact same thing. But we're going to skim through this a little bit. We'll scroll towards like halfway to the bottom, and it's going through Wireshark radius dictionaries, SNMP, basically everything that it can find. And now we're back in program files, identityhelper.exe, msedge.exe, which we just saw. Now keep this one in particular in mind, because this will come in handy for your knowledge very shortly, actually, because we're about to restart the computer. So as you can see, it's really going through everything that it could find. I've mentioned this a lot already. Not much has changed. It's just different files that it's accessing. At this point, nothing is safe from this malware. Now keep in mind, we are currently running the disk usage at an absurd amount, and it is using the memory at about 1.4 gigabytes per program. But we will come back to that in a second. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to restart the computer. And you may notice, not only is the computer being absurdly slow right now, but don't worry, because after the computer restarts, it's going to get way worse. So if we give it a moment to just restart, which may take 40 days and 40 nights apparently. Oh, there it goes. We are going to notice some very, very interesting things. So the computer does start up normally. It doesn't wipe the hard drive or anything weird like that. And we do actually boot up at a reasonable pace. As a matter of fact, that's actually, I'd say, the standard speed of starting up that we've seen on the channel before. So we're going to load both of these, although really at this point, the only thing we need to use is System Informer. So, I mean, I'll leave it open, but as of right now, we're just going to go ahead and minimize it. And eventually, we will see, do you want to allow this app from an unknown publisher to make changes to your device? Now you see Microsoft Edge.exe. Now remember what I said about it showing up in Process Monitor. This has been overwritten with a copy of the worm and the virus. It's hybrid. But why is it showing up as unknown? Because the certificate is completely gone. It's replaced everything with a copy of the worm because it's not appending itself. If you try to run any program where this has been affected by the worm, it's not actually going to run the original program. But something even more strange happens. So we're going to click yes, obviously, because I surely want to start Microsoft Edge. And it starts up here under Service Host and then Sci-Host. And then you've got your Microsoft Edge with command.exe and console host. And then you can see update auto started for a second and then eventually went away. Now you may think that's it. We could just terminate this and go back on about our day. But you may also notice that this is also running under Runtime Broker. And then update auto stays once it starts up under the Runtime Broker, which is actually running under Microsoft Edge itself. So, of course, if we try to run Edge directly, nothing is going to happen. You should note that nothing good's going to happen because consent opens, which is going to be for user account control. That's not supposed to happen when you try to open Edge, and so of course we're going to click no this time. But say that we want to open a different program. Well, we're going to click Firefox. And Firefox does open down here, and we see the updater tries to... Oh, it actually started this time. Okay, I lied. We probably just didn't give the malware enough time to infect Firefox. But, yeah, it's supposed to overwrite Firefox as well. So maybe we give it a little bit more time and then try to restart the computer again. But as you can see, we now have command.exe and up.auto.exe running by itself. But there was also another program that I saw. Not entirely sure where it is now, but it was like UHS service. And it had like the uninstall program icon, which actually was probably in the folder I saw earlier. If you remember the one I said that I didn't actually look for in testing. We also saw sc.exe over here underneath this service host. So a lot of crazy things are happening right now. And the longer that this worm virus hybrid is allowed to run, the more unstable the computer is going to get. So just in case, let's just... Oh, I tried to click Firefox. There it goes, eventually. But as you can see, things are getting much slower. Now, if we try to open the task manager again, I right-clicked on the taskbar like 8 seconds ago, and it just now showed up. If we try to open Firefox, or not Firefox, if we try to open Task Manager, we can see the CPU is hard stuck at 100%, and the memory and disk are okay enough as of right now, but the disk using 881 megabits per second, that's obviously not supposed to happen. And now they're using 200. This one's jumping back up to 681. Now, in testing, it actually got so bad that the disk speed on one program jumped up to 2.2 gigabits per second, which is insane. A write speed of 2.2 gigabits per second is obviously horrible. Now, I do have an NVMe, and it's passing through to this this virtual machine as a NVMe. So it could be worse, but now as you can see, these are stacking up to about 1.35 gigabits per second. And as you can see, the task manager had just stopped updating, and the memory had gone up to, I think it was like 93%. So as I said, the longer that we allow this to run, the more unstable things are going to get. The disk is now at 100%. A system was using 214 because it's trying to cope, seethe, and mold with all of this. We saw secure boot and sc.exe under service host. So the longer that we allow this to run, the more that our computer is going to suffer. And now, as you can see, that was loading full time. I think it actually just started the process of removing the mail icon and replacing it with the new Outlook thing. I need to just update that off stream at some point, just so it doesn't ever happen again, because it's really annoying. But the longer we allow this to run, obviously, the more things that it's going to infect and overwrite. So as of right now, it just seems that Microsoft Edge is okay. We're going to try Firefox one more time, although I don't think it starts the overwriting. Oh! Never mind. So unfortunately, as you can see, Firefox has now been overtaken by a copy of the malware. So we're going to click yes, because obviously I want to run Firefox. But now something that's interesting is it still has the original name, the original icon, the original description, but as you can see, it is not Firefox. And like I said, it doesn't append itself to the program. So it's not running a copy of itself alongside the program. It is basically gutting the program and living inside of it. It is literally living in your walls, and it is quite cozy in there. So we're going to try to open the description for it. It's obviously going to take a long time. Something just happened. Okay, we're going to try that again. And you may have just noticed that once we try to open this, it opens explorer.exe and then closes. So things are getting quite bad. And now the computer has just frozen entirely. So as you can see, if we go over here, it immediately just tells us outright, oh god, things are getting really slow, that it requires UAC to open by the little shield. That's obviously not normal. However, you may notice that there's some other things here that require UAC as well. And now you'll notice that the description says Windows Update Manager for NT, despite the location saying Mozilla Firefox, the file name, and if we go to the details, everything has been replaced. But the icon and the name remain the same. Now, if we try Crash Reporter, because my Firefox clearly isn't opening, so I need to report it. Oh my god. That wasn't necessary, but okay. Oh, I need to run UAC to open Crash Reporter? Okay, sure. Well, I need to report these crashes, so that's clearly just something I'm going to have to do. Consent closes, and if the computer stops dying for a second, then any second now, you will now see, I don't actually know where it is. Where the heck is Crash Reporter? It's actually up here under this Explorer. We now have crashreporter.exe and then update.auto underneath it. So at this point, you're pretty much screwed. You can get an AV program and hopefully you're able to run it and disinfect your computer by the time that the malware overwrites it. But chances are, as quickly as it spreads, you're not going to be able to remove this worm virus hybrid from the system. So at this point, there's not really much more you can do. You could try to restore from backups, but if that doesn't work, the only thing that there is left to do is to reinstall Windows. And even if you do manage to remove the malware, the damage has already been done because it has gone through and infected every executable it could find, and there's a very good chance that it has also infected some critical system folders and files for Windows itself. So even if the malware is removed, your system is going to be very unstable in the future. So at this point, reinstalling is just the best option that you've got anyway. Either way, that is going to be it for Incubus. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to leave a like and a comment. If you're new to the channel, please also consider subscribing. My name is Larry Bodenheimer. You guys have been amazing, and I will see you in the next one.